I think just when you go about your life and you're meeting new people, or even if you're engaging with, the people that you love in your life, just have a little question in your head, which is, how can I serve this person? And you don't need to sacrifice yourself in order to serve. It can just be paying attention. Some people just want to be heard. You don't have to sacrifice your own life in order to be of service to someone. So I think just have that little voice in the head rather than how can I be helped? How can this person help me? Just start with how can I help this person? And I think your relationships will improve noticeably.
Welcome to the Growth Life Podcast, where we celebrate individuals and their stories about moments where they were courageous enough to embrace uncertainty, brave enough to love diversity, and smart enough to realize that they don't know everything. The Growth Life Podcast shares stories of growth in all areas: careers, mindset, relationships, wealth, and health.
Hello, everyone. This is Rod Hairston. Welcome to the Growth Life Podcast, where we're courageous enough to embrace uncertainty, smart enough to love diversity, and intelligent enough to know that we don't know everything. We got a really special guest today, and that's James Swanwick. And really, I love his bio, and I love his energy more. Again, Australian-American investor, entrepreneur, speaker, former Sports Center anchor, ESPN. His podcast, the James Swanwick Podcast, is awesome. And he's also the author of the 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge. How many of us need that? Forbes listed him as one of the top 25 professionals to watch. And we're watching, and that's why we have him here. We're very, very fortunate. And I love to bring you on. James, how are you, sir?
I'm doing so well, Rod. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Part of my gift is being able to identify just natural influencers, people that are authentic and that can move people, not just entertain people. And just in the brief time we've known each other, I can tell you have that skill set. So what we're going to talk about today is let's share with people some of the principles and tactics and belief systems around becoming better from the stage. You're one of the best in the world at that, and I want to ask you, please, to share some of those tips with us. You up for that?
Yeah, absolutely, Rod. Let's do it.
Awesome. What do you believe about influence? What are some of your beliefs about it?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I have hosted a television show. I was on Sports Center on ESPN. I've spoken from the stage. I've spoken to the person serving me groceries in the grocery store, spoken to the person on the street. And I think being open and loving and thinking about the other person's interests first is the most authentic way to have deep connection with anyone. So most of us, and I was guilty of this for many years, start a new conversation or a new relationship with this voice in our head that starts with, how can this person help me?
Right.
Who is this person to me? What can I benefit out of knowing this person? For example, if you're in business, you're an entrepreneur, etc., you might meet a new contact, and this contact might be someone outstanding in business who sells millions of dollars of product and is a big deal and everyone talks about him or her. And you meet this person and the voice in your head is like, ooh, this is a successful person. This is a famous person. This is someone who can help me. How can I befriend this person so I can get something from it? Perfectly natural to feel that way, right? We all do it. We've all been guilty of it. But I think influence, to answer your question, really is starting the conversation with, how can I help this person? How can I truly listen? How can I authentically be open and really understand who this person is, what this person's needs are? How can I be of service? And it might just be listening and not doing anything else. It might just be holding space and listening, or it might be connecting them to someone, or it might just be empathizing with them. So starting a conversation with, how can I be of service? How can I help this person is the key fundamental, I feel, to ultimately influence.
I absolutely agree. And James, when people listen to this, what they think sometimes, and again, I'm assuming here, but a lot of people will listen to this and say, oh, these guys are talking about the holy way of doing things or the more left liberal way of doing things. How do you benefit from that? And I think they make a big mistake in thinking that way if they're listening to what you're saying and not getting that the way the nervous system is wired, right? Focusing on myself means I'm focusing on myself, which means even if the person gives me something I can use, I'm not going to get it wholly. And I'm putting this person in a posture where they really don't want to share because they can always read. So I love what you're saying here. Love it.
And we're all distracted in our lives, right? We've all got so many things going on these days where there's notifications on our phone, there's lots of things to do, there's all this kind of stuff that's going on. If you can just be present and listen and engage with someone and truly get to know them and help them by either just listening or being present. And here's the key, not expecting anything in return. You get so much in return.
Absolutely you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely you do. You know, I've heard the definition before that listening is taking in information with empathy and without judgment. And when you can get into that place, you're listening from a deeper source. And I love that. I love what you're saying here. James, how do you prepare? So if you were going to be that person and you got all of these distractions and goals in your life, how do you prepare for getting into that empathetic or that externally focused state? How do you prepare?
The answer is I don't prepare. When I'm in it and that voice comes in my head, which is I'm not here, I'm not present, I'm irritated, I want to get out of this conversation, I'm finding this person dull, I really want to exit this conversation. When I notice myself feeling those thoughts, then I just come back into myself and I go, James, take a second, take a step back, be present. If you find this person dull, it just means that you are not curious enough about them. It means you haven't asked them questions to find the things that you can engage on. Nobody in this world is boring and dull. Everyone has an exciting and amazing story. If you find someone dull, I feel that's because you haven't taken the time to ask masterful questions to really get to know someone. So I don't really prepare. I mean, I go out and I live my life. When I engage with people, I tend to be naturally inquisitive about people anyway. I just have this insatiable curiosity. Like I'm a natural extrovert. So I like to engage with people. But when that voice comes in my head, like I don't want to be here or I'm distracted, or I just take a step back, get present and go, James, be present. Ask masterful questions. Be of service to this person. And then everything works out. Then I get enjoyment from it. Then I go back into like feeling this joy and this connection. And life is simply better this way.
So I think you helped us. You helped us. You don't prepare, which means you prepare unconsciously. So now you help me prepare by listening for that voice. If that voice is there, then to quiet that voice by getting into a great state, take a step back, asking some really, really great inquisitive questions to get me externally focused, and then taking a deep breath and becoming present and enjoying it. That's what I've heard that you do just naturally, but that can help me as a listener to this to prepare, and I think that's beautiful. What is your big why? Like, why are you one of the better influencers in the world here? Why?
Why do I do what I do, or why am I?
Why do you do what you do?
Yeah. So I can tell you that has changed over the years, depending on what decade I'm living in. I'm in my 40s as we're recording this. In my 20s, I did it because I wanted some level of fame and attention, because I had a level of insecurity inside of me that needed to be recognized. In my 30s, I did it because I wanted to have an impact on people, but also really to serve myself. Mostly actually to serve myself. So mostly it's I want to feel good, I want to make money serving people, and I want to serve people. Right? I'm not so angelic in this world that I say that my number one goal is to help people. No, I actually want to help myself first, but I'm going to do it helping people.
Right.
Okay. And then in my 40s, my why is really my number one reason is to provide for my family, for my children, for my partner, for my offspring, for my legacy. That's my number one drive. So I want to make sure that I protect my family. And again, I'm going to do that by serving the most people. It's not the other way around. I have heard people say from stages before, my number one goal is helping people. I want to help people. And that's great. It's not mine. My number one goal is helping myself and my family. And I'm going to do it by helping the most people.
And I think that's more sustainable because it creates a win-win. And I think it's probably ultimately, when you look at how the nervous system is designed, everything we do in some way we gain as individuals from doing it. And I think to do it the other way is saying that sacrifice is a normal way of being. And I completely agree with you on that. And I think that for those of you listening, you have to be okay saying that I'm doing this for me, that I'm going to get some benefit. Just make sure that you're valuable. And I think, and I believe that's what James is saying, that he's offering way more value than what he's getting. But the drive is, in the end, this is what I'm going to receive as a result of my value, as a result of exactly what I put my time into and how I support you in growing. So, James, am I accurate there?
Yes, 100%. And if you look at the ways that I create income for myself, they're from three pretty distinct businesses. I help people sleep better. I help social drinkers quit alcohol. And I help entrepreneurs build businesses. Now, all three of those businesses are in service to people. Right? I serve people, but I make money from serving those people. I'm not the owner of, say, I don't know. Let's say an example: Coca-Cola or some processed foods companies or something that, while it might be kind of fun to have a can of Coke sometimes and drink sugary water, we know it's not good for you.
No.
Right? Like we know it's full of sugar.
Absolutely.
So my goal, you asked me what my why is. My why is obviously take care of my family, take care of myself, but do it in service of others. So I'm very conscious about my money-making endeavors. I help people sleep better through my sleep company, Swanwick Sleep. I help people quit alcohol through my quit alcohol business, the 30-day no alcohol challenge. And I help entrepreneurs build businesses through my inner circle program. And they're all in service of people. I feel good. I help people. I make money. Other people make money. They improve their health. I improve my health. It's like a win-win-win-win-win times infinity.
Absolutely. And that's the way. And guys, I really want you to listen to what he's saying, because if you think about the acronym OPA, outcome, purpose, action, he just told you his outcome, right? And a lot of people confuse outcome and purpose. So he told you his outcome, and the outcome is, again, to help people, right? He helps people in a very measurable way sleep better. He helps people get off of alcohol. And think about the impact that has on their family. Then he helps CEOs or entrepreneurs build their businesses, which again adds to more value to the community, to the world. His why is, which is his own personal business, is to take care of his family, to take care of himself, to create a legacy. That's his why. And I think sometimes we confuse the what and the why. And we get so caught up in the why that we never get to the what. We never get to the outcome. And then, of course, the actions are, and this is what we're talking about today. You perfect influence. You align with people. You care about people. You focus on people. I love this. So James, what do you believe about your audience? What do you believe about the people you're speaking to, whether you're doing it on your podcast or the stage or TV? What do you believe about them?
Everyone has unbelievable power within themselves, and it's untapped. So everyone is a powerful being. And I've been going through this a lot lately, where I've been realizing I've been playing small compared to what I can achieve. And as much as you're, heaping praise on me and saying, wow, James is successful and he does these things, and I appreciate that very much, I know that I'm only achieving a fraction of what I'm capable of. So what I know about my audience, whether they're sitting in a hotel conference room and I'm speaking from the stage, or whether they're listening to my podcast, or whether they're considering buying a pair of my Swanwick blue light blocking glasses that help you sleep better, or whether they're considering quitting alcohol for 30 days through my challenge, I know that person is capable of so much more than what they're achieving. And they know that. They know it because I know it. I know it, and you know it. You know it, Rod, that you are capable of so much more. Everyone has this fire inside of them. But what happens? A lot of the times you just walk around, sometimes like in a zombie-like state, where we're scared of failing, we're scared of succeeding, we're scared of change, we're scared of leaning into the discomfort in order to get the comfort. So I think understanding that, and understanding that everyone inherently has that fear inside them, and they know they're capable of so much more, I'm able to effectively communicate to them through my messaging, through my speeches, through my talks, through my interviews, through my products, and helping people unleash that potential is what I really get excited about.
Really beautiful. That's beautifully said. And that's absolutely 100% true. And the people watching this can be like, well, Rod is agreeing with everything because it's right. I'm not going to just agree to agree. He's absolutely right. We all know that we're capable. Every one of us, we're all capable. And if you're watching this, you know you're capable. Challenge is that a lot of us are afraid to challenge other people, right? What we rather do is just go for the short-term opportunity of telling people they're great, and then, again, allow them to rest on that. Well, James is saying, well, no, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to say, yeah, you're great. Like you said, Rod, you said all these great things, but I'm playing with a small fraction. Absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And it'll be that way because we only live, 110, 20 years for some of us, and we're playing with a 1,000,000-year capability opportunity, right? We're playing our nervous system, our brain, everything about us, our gifts. We're in the infancy of understanding of who we are as human beings. So all we can do is grow. All we can do is continue to expand and go to the next level. So I absolutely agree with that. And everything he said today is spot on with putting you into that beautiful interpersonal state to be prepared to go out and impact people at a very, very high level. James, what do you do when you first get on the stage? So now you're going on a stage. There's 15,000 people in the audience. You're walking out and we introduce you. Welcome to the stage, the man, the myth, the legend, James Swanwick. And you come out. What is the last thing you have on your mind before you open your mouth?
Well, I want to make an immediate connection. And so I like to crack a joke. I like to make a little joke. And if I can get laughter from the audience, then I'm like, oh, great. They're on my side. Wonderful. And if there are crickets, I'm like, oh, I got a little bit of work to do here. And it's funny because I've told the same joke on different stages, and the reaction can sometimes be different. For example, I might get people to put their hands up in the beginning. I'm like, who here Who here is excited about today? And people put their hand up. And who here, put your hand up if you're not excited about today. And who here is not going to put their hand up no matter what I ask them to do?
That's a good one.
And then everyone goes, ha, 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 laugh, and that kind of thing. And then if I get a good laughter from there, then I'm like, oh, okay, good, right, good. I've got a good audience here. And if I don't, it's like, all right, I got to charm them a little bit more here.
Oh, I've had that happen. You go out, and I thought I told my best joke, and nobody laughed, and you're like, man, and the thing, you got to be ready for that. And I'm glad that you're listening to this, because you got to be ready to do. One of our principles of influence is utilization, which means that you have to be in the mindset to utilize anything and everything that comes up, because sometimes you're going to have a crowd that might not want you to win because of just the situation that they're in, or why you were invited, or how they were invited to your presentation. So that whole idea of aligning and redirecting and being ready to utilize everything is key. And you got to have faith in yourself too, because if you go out and you give your best joke and you don't laugh, I'll say, wow, I got a lot of work to do, because that was one of my better jokes. You guys are going to be tough, but you know what? I'm up for it. And then I'll jump into a fight and go, no, I don't want to fight. I want to hug. By the end of this, you'll be hugging me back. And I'll use it. You got to use it. You never want to allow that awkward feeling to just go untouched. You don't want to create the elephant in the room on stage. So he's absolutely right. You give the joke. If they don't get a response, you laugh at yourself and say, I got work to do. And they'll appreciate that, because they're putting you in the spotlight by you being on stage in the first place. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, if the joke doesn't go down well, you can just go, sorry. Or you can say, damn, I thought that joke was going to get a better response. It's like, oh, I'm off to a tough start here.
That's right.
And just making a little joke of yourself, because everyone's rooting for you. Everyone wants you to do well.
Absolutely.
And if you can just acknowledge the awkwardness, because that's true, then people warm to you so much. But if you then oh, I'll just ignore the fact that they didn't laugh and move on with the thing, don't acknowledge it, everyone can see that.
Everybody can see that.
Everyone can see it.
Absolutely. So how do you, when you are chunking your information, let's talk about that a little bit. How do you chunk it, and do you have a way of chunking? And what I mean by chunking is organizing your information that you're going to deliver to the audience. Do you have a process? I talked about one, and OPA is an acronym. And a lot of times I'll start a presentation with, here's the outcome for today. Here's why we're here. And ultimately, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to go over the steps that will support you in getting to that outcome and finding your own why. That's just one. Do you have anything like that, or are you really just more in flow of the state, the emotional state that you're in?
There's a couple things. I start with the process of, I'm going to tell them what I'm going to tell them.
Got it.
Then I tell them. Then I remind them what I've told them. So it's a very simple formula. It's just broken up into 3 parts. And in the beginning, I just tell them what I'm going to tell them. Then I tell them. And then I remind them about what I told them. That's a great framework. And then within that framework, I like to talk about subject matters that hit the cognitive biases of human beings. Now, the cognitive biases are a set of themes or topics or subjects that human beings subconsciously and consciously can relate to. For example, pain. Everyone understands the feeling of pain. Reward. Everyone understands the feeling of reward. A nightmare story. So I might share my nightmare story about how I used to drink and now I don't, or I used to sleep poorly and then I discovered this thing and now I don't sleep poorly and now I sleep flawlessly. I used to be 40 pounds overweight and be tired and lethargic, and it cost me relationships and I wasn't making any money, and then I found this thing and now I'm fit and lean and healthy. Um, Scarcity, which is a cognitive bias, which is trying to influence the crowd to take action now rather than someday, because someday is a road that leads to where? Never, right?
Yeah,
And then there might be testimonials where I might tell the story of someone who has done particularly well once they solved their pain. And then there might be a CTA, which is a call to action. So rather than just giving a speech or a talk, I'm now calling people to action. So now that you know this thing, what are you going to do? And that might be take an action right now. It could be turn to the person to the left of you and tell them something. It might be phone someone. It might be sign up to a program. It might be eliminate drinking Coca-Cola from your life, or quitting alcohol, joining the 30-day no alcohol challenge, blocking blue light so you can sleep well at night. It could be anything. That's a call to action. And so I like to have those kind of frameworks in my mind. And weaving it all in is a story, right? Because human beings love to listen to stories. It's in our genealogy. When we were cavemen and cavewomen, we would go and sit around a fire in the cave, and then we would tell stories. And so that's ingrained into us, which is why we love movies and soap operas, and which is why when I'm giving a talk or a speech, I'm telling stories. I'm telling stories because people love to listen and hear stories. So, yeah, tell them what I'm going to tell them, remind them what I've told them, and then within that, pain, reward, nightmare story, testimonials, call to action, scarcity, all of those things can produce a compelling talk or a compelling speech.
I think we have a book here. Guys, listen to this podcast again, because there's a lot there. And, if you've ever read Robert Cialdini's book on influence, and you think about the laws of analytical persuasion, you heard social proof, you heard reciprocity, you heard commitment and consistency, you heard authority, you heard scarcity, you heard contrast. In this podcast, you've heard James talk about all the laws of analytical persuasion within a 30-minute talk. And without making it so freaking, you don't have to read a 300-page book to get it. Go back and just listen in a very simple way of how you can set up your presentation. Okay? He told you everything you need to do, not only to just do a great presentation. A call to action doesn't mean you're selling something necessarily. A call to action is just calling people to action on some point that you're making in your presentation, right? So a lot of you might listen to that and think, again, you always want to challenge people to action. You always, and by keeping that end in mind, it creates the proper confidence and a proper focus when you get in stage, knowing that you're going to call people to action at the end of your presentation. So that's exactly, I agree with that 100%. I always visualize when I start how I'm going to end and how they're going to receive my call to action. Whatever it is, even if it's a half an hour keynote or a 3-day, 10-hour a day, retreat. So I think this is great. James, I really, really appreciate this. What's the best way? Well, before we do that, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience and wrapping this up?
I think just when you go about your life and you're meeting new people, or even if you're engaging with, the people that you love in your life, just have a little question in your head, which is, how can I serve this person? And you don't need to sacrifice yourself in order to serve. It can just be paying attention. Some people just want to be heard. You don't have to sacrifice your own life in order to be of service to someone. So I think just have that little voice in the head, rather than how can I be helped? How can this person help me? Just start with how can I help this person? And I think your relationships will improve noticeably.
You will be able to help yourself a lot more by serving than seeking to be helped. right? So that's beautifully said. James, how do we reach you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media at James Swanwick. I'll actually spell it because it's a little funny. It's Swanwick is SWANWICK. I was saying before we started this, Rod, that Americans don't tend to get the silent W. It's actually pronounced Swanwick, but it's spelled Swanwick. So anyway, find me on Instagram at James Swanwick. If you're interested in sleeping better, I have a sleep company. You can go to swanwicksleep.com. And if you're interested in reducing or quitting alcohol, you can go to 30daynoalcoholchallenge.com. And I've also got a YouTube channel, James Swanwick, and a few other things as well.
Well, I think you're going to get quite the visits because I think this has been phenomenal. We'd love to get to know you more, sir, and love to support what you're doing. Love to serve. So let us know how we can support you. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your message. And thank you for being you.
Thank you so much for having me, Rod. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for catching this episode of the Growth Life Podcast. Join us at growth-u.com. That's growth-u.com.